Hello, welcome to Educationally Speaking. My name is Sarah Davis, and I'm a communications specialist with Oakland Schools and the host of this podcast. The goal of Educationally Speaking is to focus on important topics related to education here in Oakland County, Michigan. So this is our second season of this podcast, and we are so excited that it has taken off so well. In fact, we just learned that Educationally Speaking has won an honorable mention in PR Daily's Digital Marketing and Social Media Awards. This is a national award competition with a lot of great submissions. So to be picked as a winner, especially in our first season, is a huge honor for us. Thanks to all of you who have been loyally tuning in. Our listeners are the reason why we enjoy doing this podcast so much. So to start off season 2, we will be talking about the latest shift that's been occurring in education. Thank you so much for listening in. It can easily be said that with the start of the COVID-19 pandemic in March of this year, that the landscape of how our children learn has been changed. This past spring, students, teachers, and parents were thrown into the realm of online learning. Some had already been learning this way, but for many others, this was a new way of engaging in curriculum. With school starting back up in the fall, many parents are having to make the tough decision of whether to have their children go back into the classroom or pick online learning options. For the past 7 years, Oakland Schools has already been offering an online option for those interested. The program, called Virtual Learning Academy Consortium, or VLAC for short, offers an at-home learning program for grades K through 12 that is a public school option for parents and other caregivers who are willing and ready to guide their child's learning in a flexible, home-based environment. VLAC currently supports 53 school districts in 10 counties and provides education to about 300 students who achieve academic success through virtual learning. So with us today to talk about VLAC and some tips and tricks for ensuring successful online learning this fall is Julie Alspach, Program Administrator of Oakland Schools VLAC. Julie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
So before we go into our tips and tricks for online learning, Julie, can you tell us a little bit about how VLAC works?
So VLAC is a program that is an outreach to families who want to do home-based learning. We are a tuition-free program. We are full-time and 100% virtual. Families come to us because in the past they needed a flexible schedule was the major reason that families were coming to us. But now we're also seeing a rise in interest because of health concerns. Our learning guides from the family work in a scripted program that's aligned with national and local standards with support from full-time local certified teachers.
It's great to know that Oakland Schools has this option for families. In addition to VLAC, due to the pandemic, it seems a lot of local districts have also now decided to offer an online option for students. But for many, this type of learning is new. So how can parents decide which program works best for their child?
Well, Sarah, you're right. There's going to be a lot of options out there for them to pick from. And I always advise parents to start asking some questions. And some of the questions I would think that, would be important to know. A parent should ask, how long has the program been around? How long has the teacher been teaching virtual? Is the teacher full-time? Some teachers that are going to be doing these programs might not be available all during the day or when you and your student are working. And another one is how many students does each teacher support, and are they supporting only online or in person? So I think those kind of questions will give parents an idea of what they're signing up for and help them decide what program is best for them.
Okay, great advice. Can you talk about the level of commitment needed from both the parent and child when it comes to embarking on an online learning program?
Virtual learning is going to be different in different programs. Some programs are going to require more parent engagement. Our program has a learning guide that's somebody in the home that's working with the student. So it is a full-time program and it is going to be rigorous. Often that we think virtual learning is going to be easy and quick, but you should plan on spending a few hours a day with your children. Now that doesn't mean you can't virtually school more than one child. A child could be receiving instruction from their parent while another child's doing their homework, and you can kind of balance that. But it is important to know that this is a commitment on the parent's part. Most of the time, most programs like ours are going to be flexible on what hours you work, and they're going to be looking at weekly progress.
Okay, so say a family has decided to go forward with online learning. What other items are important to get into place before you begin that process?
One of the first things I always tell my parents is set up a schedule, because part of the problem with virtual learning is you can always do it tomorrow. There's no bell that starts to tell you math now and no bell that rings again to tell you to stop. So I always recommend that they set up a schedule with their student and have their student be part of making that schedule. Online learning can be more flexible. So if your student isn't a morning person, if you have a middle schooler, you may not want to plan it starting at 7 in the morning every day. I was a middle school virtual teacher, and not many of my students were working at 7 in the morning every day. But your younger elementary student might be more flexible. So create a plan with your student, have rewards when you get that plan done, and have a plan B if you don't get that plan done. Okay, maybe we'll do a few extra hours on Saturday. Organize a place for your supplies. You'll probably have books, you'll probably have papers, you'll have pens and pencils, and organize that so that it's always in one spot where you can find it. Another thing we also suggest is that you set up a place for learning. Most of us are working remote, and we have home offices and we have dedicated spaces for our working. Your child needs that too. And it's usually really helpful if that dedicated space is in the public area, where you can kind of see that your child is working, maybe even see what's on their screen, but not necessarily hover right over them. So that gives them a little independence, but the parent can also kind of keep an eye that they actually are working.
And then last but certainly not least, there seems to be a lot of thought out there that these online courses are less personal than in-class learning. Can you talk a little bit about how relationships are still very important in the online learning world?
Relationships are very important. And when I started as a middle school virtual teacher, I was really surprised at the fact that I felt like I really did know my students. I knew their strengths and weaknesses. I knew what they were interested in. We could suggest topics that would inspire them to write more because it's things they liked. And that relationship wasn't framed by behaviors or their appearance or personal biases. So I was really surprised at how you really still connected to your students. But another important part of a virtual program is establishing community. And we do that with virtual and in-person events with our families. We still go to the zoo, and we still go to the pumpkin patch in the fall. And then we also have live lessons where students can get together with the people in their class and their teachers every week. For parents to create that sense of community, we have both remote and in-person parent support to help them adjust to the home learning. So we still create that community and those connections between our teachers, families, and students.
All right, excellent information, Julie. Before we go, can you tell us how people can find out more information on VLAC or other programs if they're interested?
So they can find out more information about our program at our website, which is www.vlac.org. They can also call our office at 248-209-2071, and then check out our Facebook page, which is VLA Consortium. And we do have a parent meeting coming up. The most recent one is going to be Tuesday night, August 4th. But we will have other parent meetings up until the first day of school. And on our website and on our Facebook page, you can find out a lot more information about our program and the types of things we offer.
All right, excellent. And we'll have all of that information in the show notes for our listeners as well. Julie, thank you so much for guiding our local families through what is going to be some major education-related decision-making this summer and fall.
Thanks so much for having me.
This podcast was brought to you by Oakland Schools Intermediate School District's Communication Services and is produced by Media Production and Distance Learning Manager Mark Hansen. Oakland Schools is a regional service agency that offers support services to school personnel which are better delivered regionally and provide cost, size, and quality advantages to those we serve. You can find out more information on Oakland Schools at oakland www.k12.mi.us. I have been your host for this podcast, Sarah Davis, and you can find this and future episodes of Educationally Speaking on Anchor FM. We hope you will join us for our next episode, where we will continue to bring you topics that affect every student every day.